Ajoy and I have differing views on coconut oil, but I think coconut oil is wonderful and it just makes everything taste
My
better.
only concern is that I've not seen very strong studies.
Hello, welcome back to Circee Health Pod. Don't know why I emphasize that, but it's just must be the rainy season. So we're back again today with another exciting topic. Before we get to that, just want to remind you that I'm Dr. Jenny, a internist and pediatrician in one, and Ajoy is next to me, and
I'm a research pathologist, but I just wanted to mention when people think of an internist, they think of an intern.
oh right, yes,
Right.
I thankfully survived my intern year many years ago, thankfully, and so internist is a doctor, another word for internal medicine. So I guess you could think of a doctor of the inside of you. So another word for an adult specialist, I guess. So I concentrate on diseases of different body systems like the digestive system, the endocrine system, which is diabetes and thyroid, skin. So basically, I try to treat and or prevent any disease that could affect adults from the inside.
Well said. Okay. So at least you give a introduction. That's good. That's good. So what are we talking about today?
So today,
Yeah. What were you thinking?
thinking inspired by our recent trip to Europe and our discussions about the blue zones, why aren't there any blue zones in India? Or at least why aren't there any declared blue zones in
I was going to
India?
say that. I was going to say
So a lot
definitely.
of if you have listened to our Blue Zone podcast, you might remember a lot of the different tick boxes that you have to meet to become a blue zone. We think that a lot of those are in communities in India. So we thought maybe we'll pick a couple of those communities and talk about them. And why not start with one that we're both most familiar with?
Yeah, got
And
it,
what
got it.
would that be, Ajoy?
Oh, you mean the
Konkani cuisine. So maybe Mangalore or Udupi could be the next blue zone of the world. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
I would vote. What about you?
I mean, yeah, if things are done well, it could be.
No, we're talking about positive things
Yeah,
today.
yeah. Okay.
And speaking of positive things, I just want to remind our listeners that our goal in these podcasts is to educate and empower you so that you can prevent and hopefully bid farewell to any chronic health issues permanently. Back
Yeah.
to what you were saying.
Yeah.
I interrupted as
No,
usual.
no. That's fine. That's fine. I think with the Konkani cuisine, it's not like it's exclusively Konkani cuisine that is like that could potentially be a blue zone, because remember when we visited the Northeast and we saw very fit people going trudging up and down the mountains with not an ounce of fat on them.
No, I'm
And
not saying just Konkani cuisine. I'm saying let's start with
okay,
Konkani
okay, okay.
cuisine because we know that the best.
Oh, okay,
And
fine,
we
fine.
will try to learn more about the other potential blue zones for
Okay,
our
that's
listeners in the future.
okay. That's
Is that reasonable?
yes, yes, that's reasonable. Okay, all righty, fine. So what do you think? I mean, from like when you just got into the Konkani culture, what did you see as something different about the food?
Well, do you want to first talk about what is Konkani cuisine? Like, what's
Okay,
the definition? Where is it in India?
okay,
And
yeah. Many people are not familiar with
yeah,
that, right?
just
Yeah,
in
yeah,
case
yeah.
you haven't heard of it.
Yeah, 300-400 years ago, the community we are mostly Gaud Saraswat Brahmins, and I guess now there are a lot of Konkani Catholics, right? But the Gaud Saraswat Brahmins and some of the Konkanis, when the Portuguese came in, they moved further down south. Of course, before Goa, that's another story, but I won't bore you with the details. At present, as of 2022. Mostly Konkanis, you'll find them in southern Goa. Well, actually, Goa itself speaks Konkani, which is a
Right.
different type of Konkani, different dialect of Konkani.
Yes, I don't at all understand Goan Konkani,
Yeah,
or very little.
yeah, it's different. And then right from North Karnataka to South Karnataka, up and down, mostly on the coast, you'll find Konkanis because they moved via boat into Karnataka, and then some went as far down as Kerala. So there are lots of some of our relatives, right,
Yep.
are Keralite Konkanis.
Yes.
Um,
So
so yeah,
what are the major cities that you'll find,
I think
or towns?
for me the epicenter of Konkani is Mangalore, but as far as the cuisine is concerned, it is Udupi, undoubtedly Udupi.
Yeah.
And I remind me of a story.
Oh, a story.
Do you remember?
Imagine that.
So somebody, I don't remember who said this,
Oh,
but
yes, I know the
they,
story.
they
Please
were
go ahead.
apparently they were it was in a transferable job, and he was driving through at midnight through a town in Karnataka, rural Karnataka, like southern Karnataka or something. And he was hungry. He said, let's just have dinner. And his driver stopped the car at some, just a small little hole in the wall restaurant. And they ate the meal that was there. And he got back in and he said, my God, this is one of the best cuisines I've ever eaten. This is one of the best dinners I've had. And the driver quipped, he goes, yes, sir, of course it is, because we stopped in Udupi. So, Udupi cuisine is
It's the
literally,
mecca.
yeah, it's literally
we think.
world famous, because everywhere people say, oh, Udupi cuisine, Udupi cuisine. So I'm very lucky to have been born in an Udupi family.
And I've been very lucky to have been accepted into an Udupi family.
Yes. And actually, you cook better Konkani food than I do.
Oh, I don't know. That's debatable.
Well, anyway, people should taste it and make a judgment for themselves. So that's as far as the definition of Konkani food is concerned.
We'll get into the dishes soon enough, some examples.
Yeah, but I know you want to get into the dishes, but I really want to also concentrate on some of the other aspects of Konkani culture. So what do you take out of the Konkani cuisine as such? When you see Indian food versus Konkani food?
I guess I can give that from a American perspective,
Sure.
a previous American, a transitioning American, if you will. I grew up knowing Indian cuisine as butter chicken and dal makhani and naan and chai tea, which pains me to say. I know it's not chai tea. So I think in the Western world, or at least in the US, people know North Indian, Punjabi, Mughlai food, right? Before I met you, had no idea about South Indian food, no idea that Indian food didn't have to be quite as heavy. Not that it's a bad thing. I do love Punjabi food very, very much. But what I like about South Indian food in general, Konkani food in particular, is it's actually inherently very healthy. And until we became plant-based, I don't think I truly appreciated how I don't really have to modify many dishes at all to make them whole food plant-based. So that's why I love Konkani food. And
that goes for many other South Indian.
Many of the South Indian, but again, we're talking about
okay,
what we know,
fine,
right?
Fine,
So Konkani food, yes, of course. We also cook a lot of Tamilian food and Telugu food and Kerala food. All delicious and also very healthy. But we're focusing on Konkani today.
Fine.
What I also like about it is I think it's it's so flavorful without using a lot of ingredients. It's really how you work with the ingredients, I guess. So any of our friends that did not know Konkani food, even our Indian friends may not have had Konkani food. When we introduce it to them, they're like, wow, this is so delicious. How long did this take you? This must have been really, really complicated and difficult. And I mean, I guess the process of learning it is, but once you know how, it's simple. What do I say? It's simple but not easy.
Yeah, simple but not easy. Yeah.
But it's delicious and healthy, and so that's what I like about Konkani food, and of course Konkani culture you'll talk about a little later. But
sure.
I've been very happy in my adopted Konkani family.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. So jumping into, let's just talk about the ingredients first, right? So people are always amazed. I remember your mom saying, "What? You just added 3 things in it?"
Yeah.
And it tasted delicious. So, for her also, I remember for her, the best was chicken tikka masala or something like that.
Used to be, yes.
Yeah. Till she
had cabbage curry.
till she had cabbage curry. Yeah. Cabbage curry, for those who don't know, is basically a stir-fried cabbage.
Yeah.
Sliced and julienne and stir-fried. And the ingredients really speak for themselves because there's not much masalas that go into it.
You can taste the actual vegetable.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going with it. So if you make something like, for example, a karela or something, you can actually taste the karela.
Karela is bitter gourd, for those that don't know.
So you can actually taste the ingredients quite like some of the Western foods, actually, if you think about it. Quite like the Western foods where, if I remember going to your place a long time ago when your mother served me carrots, and I was like, oh, it's just carrots. It's just carrots and carrots.
So American food.
Oh, come on, no. There are some things that are nice, but there is one thing I think maybe Konkanis do it, and I want to re-emphasize that many cultures must be doing this, especially that came out of poverty, or that had to go through a lot of like Konkanis really were persecuted people when the Portuguese come, for example. I don't know before that what was going on, but I don't want to delve into the history. But because of the poverty and because of the fact that there was lack of stuff that they could gather, they're basically eating a lot of edible weeds. What even a regular Indian would consider edible weeds.
So I was just going to say, I remember we
You
were
wanna?
in Goa one time
Yeah,
in the car, and suddenly your mom made the driver pull over,
yeah,
literally in the middle of a road going through a field in a village.
yeah.
And she got out of the car and started gathering what I thought were weeds from the side of the road, and but later made one of the most delicious chutneys that I've
Yeah.
ever had in my life. So yes, I mean, sometimes Konkani food uses such unusual ingredients that they're difficult to find.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you do find them,
Yeah.
they're amazing.
Yeah, like for example, there's another one called Gudgud Alambe. Gudgud Alambe.
Yeah.
Gudgud is thunder, and I think they're called thunder mushrooms or something in English. Basically, I remember my dad telling me that he used to go to the forest with his friends and forage for these things. The way you forage is you go during the rainy season when it's raining, especially if there's thunder. When there's thunder, some of the leaves that are fallen from the trees, they tremble a little bit, and if they tremble more, that means there are mushrooms underneath it, and they would take them out.
Like truffles.
Like almost like truffles, yeah, almost like truffles. They grow almost underground, and they are one of the most delicious things to eat. I remember my cousin flying a small batch of Gudgud Alambe all the way from Udupi to Mumbai just because I was coming down. It was delicious, and I thank her for that.
Speaking of truffles, you always compare Konkani food to French food.
French food, yes.
Which I think is actually pretty accurate because of the unusual ingredients, the simple but very flavorful dishes, that you have to have, not to pat ourselves on the back, some amount of skill to make Konkani food correctly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Konkani food is not taught in Le Cordon Bleu, but hopefully it will become, once it's declared a blue zone and everything.
Yeah, once it's declared, I see you have high hopes. I mean, we hope that we can at least inspire people to make a change. One of the things that I wanted to say about that is just like French food, you add one ingredient and the entire even the name of the dish changes, right? Same thing happens in Konkani food.
You're making a masala and you add methi seeds instead of coriander seeds, or you leave them out altogether. It changes the dish completely.
Yeah, and it's a different name, different everything.
And there's certain combinations that can't be done, and some that are. Like in Konkani food, you never put jeera or cumin with mustard seeds together.
And to make when you say that, you mean for the tempering?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there are some they would break that rule, because especially further up you come, like towards Goa.
You come close to, or Maharashtra.
Yeah, too. Maharashtra would do that. And also, like I said about coming from what happens, it's not just about eating weeds. It literally is about expanding your palate. Now you can eat palak, you can eat taikula, you can eat ekpani. So for those who don't know, taikula and ekpani are literally considered weeds in the rest of India. It kind of increases your repertoire, and from a medical standpoint, actually it helps your gut flora a lot. When you have more diverse things that you eat, the more
your gut bacteria are happy.
More robust the bacteria are, and that's a it's a key determinant for health. I wish we would eat even more of these greens and other vegetables. Okay, so what about seasonality or seasonal vegetables and ingredients? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about the alambe, the thunder mushrooms, which is a great example. But I think, when I think of Konkani food, I always think of fresh vegetables. And of course, the good thing about being in India is fresh vegetables have to be seasonal. Otherwise, you won't find them. You're not going to go get something that's canned or something that's frozen 99% of the time. So like most of India, it follows the seasonality. So I always think and wish to follow better your relative's example of only when they're cooking a meal that day, they get it directly from the bhajiwala or the market. They don't buy something and then let it sit in the fridge for 3-4 days. They
Yes,
get whatever
yes.
is fresh that day,
That's
and
right.
they plan their meal around
If you
that.
look at their fridge, there is no vegetables in their
Yes,
fridge.
yes,
Fridge.
that's how it should be.
Yeah, I agree. That's how it should be. I just want to add one more thing, and that is, I know we kind of talked about, unusual vegetables, but in addition to the unusual vegetables, like, did you know that there is a type of patrada that grows only, patrada, it's like a patrada. It grows
What is a
on,
patrello?
sorry, patrada is colocasia leaves.
Thank you.
Sorry, colocasia leaves that grow, it's like a colocasia plant that grows on other trees. It grows in old growth forest, so it's all the more reason for us to protect the forest. And it's delicious because it has never touched the ground, and it's just wonderful. So that I just wanted to mention that as one of the
Another seasonal ingredient.
seasonal ingredient, yeah.
And then, of course, fruit, just like the rest of India, seasonal fruit.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about the seasonality. Let's get into the meat of things, right? The main. Yeah.
So ironically, like the rest of the blue
Okay, fine.
zones, Konkanis really don't eat meat
Yes.
at all. It's truly, if there's anything animal based, it's seafood.
Seafood.
And it's also a small amount,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's that phrase that Kiki used about the food of the poor? Cucina povera, not provera, maybe
Cucina povera.
povera. So yeah, the food of the poor, right? So if you can't afford meat or seafood, then
It's actually good for you.
yeah, we've now found out later on in life that it is actually good for you. So that's why, Konkani food fits the bill of 99% plant-based, right? And whole food.
Right, yeah.
I mentioned earlier that most Konkani dishes are inherently vegan. Why is that? Because they use coconut oil for the fat, right?
Yeah.
So in some of the other, or a lot of the other world cuisines, they use butter or cream or ghee. But in Konkani food, it's really, if ghee is used at all, it's used as like a condiment or like something at the end.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's really just coconut oil. So, and Ajoy and I have differing views on coconut oil, but I think coconut oil is wonderful, and it just makes everything taste better.
My only concern is that I've not seen very strong studies. I've seen some studies, but I've not seen any very strong studies that say unequivocally these people are giving coconut oil, followed them for 15 years, they are better.
I think the evidence is not long enough. That's what I think. There's some evidence that it may improve HDL and lower LDL, but again, you're right, it's not overwhelming evidence.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you have to go with intuition, so that's fine.
So we'll talk about, I guess, longevity in relation to that in a little bit. But yeah, so if you go to a puja or a wedding or something like that, then you'll really get a great idea of the traditional Konkani food and the variety that you see and how it's all plant-based, right? Yeah. So before we get into the quote-unquote meat of the Konkani dishes, I think this is a good time to wrap up part one.
Sure.
Since we talked a little more about the history in part one, we'll move on to the actual dishes, ingredients, and more on to the actual Konkani culture in part two.
Right.
So we'll see you then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We really hope you enjoyed our conversation. Can you think about one thing or an idea that you can start to introduce into your own life that will help make your life healthier and less stressful?
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you can take a few seconds to share the podcast with your friends and families. Thank you so much for listening.
And always remember, your health is literally in your own hands. Making lifestyle changes is not an easy task, but we promise you will be aptly rewarded with a long, healthy, and disease-free life.